Hey guys, this is Gabor here, and today I would like to tell my story about panic attacking and completely healing from the panic attack. First of all, I would like to tell you that you are certainly not alone. There are many millions out there who are suffering from panic attack daily basis. This is a condition that I developed myself about 15 years ago, and I used to have panic attack for about a decade long, a little bit, maybe more than 10 years, and obviously I could tell you that that was the worst period in my life ever. But today I am more than happy to report you that I have no longer any panic attack. I'm completely healed of, and I'm quite proud of that I did it by myself. It's all based on research, which I did, but I healed off eventually from panic attacking, and I never had any antidepressant prescribed by any shrink or psychiatric medicine. I had nothing. Let me go back to my childhood for a little bit to talk about that. I'm coming from a completely normal family. I'm having one sister, and mom and father, thank God, they are together at this moment as well. But in some reason I could tell you that the meaning of the word worry, to worry, I perhaps learned it in my very early stage in my childhood, and I just developed a deep understanding what worry means, and I started worrying about things in very early stage in my life. I can remember that I reported my first headache in my life. I think I was less than 6 years old, but perhaps more than 5. One day we are going home. I am with my parents. I can recall that picture, that moment right now too, and I am telling to my parents that I'm having a headache, and that was the first moment when I had headache. I think this is a key moment because a headache is mostly physical symptoms of mental burdens that any human being, human entity could develop for himself, herself, and I went through, therefore, in my early stage. I'm not saying I am blaming only the way I learned worrying at early stage, but perhaps there is some link together. At my secondary school, first school, secondary school, I was obviously struggling, and those struggles just empowered the way I was worrying, so I worried quite much as well. By the very end of my secondary school time, I started drinking, and I found alcohol is a good tool. Please don't listen to me right now. But I found alcohol is a good tool. I became alcoholic, and also happy to report to you that I completely healed off. I completely quit being alcoholic, and I had no a sip of alcohol since 12 years, more than 20 years, 12 years. It's more than 12 years. I considered myself and labeled myself many times as the unluckiest person on earth. The worst and the most worry for me that I caused myself, increasing suffering of depression, was that nothing comes to my way, nothing on earth comes to my way, and I deepened my belief that I am the unluckiest person on earth. At that point, at my teenager or adolescent age, I could describe myself that I was literally worrying about everything. I worried about everything. I worried myself to sick, and I was not a warrior. I was a worrier, a worry machine. I was a worry machine. And at this point in my life, I achieved a point when I suffered from the first ever panic attack in my life. I remember that I was in bed and I was about to fall asleep, but I couldn't fall asleep, and I just had to sit up from the bed, and I was grasping for breath. I felt a shortage of breath, and it was a very, very scary moment. My brain processed that, oh my God, I'm going to die here, and there is something wrong with me. Yes, it was a very terrible moment. It was a really terrible moment for me, and that was the first ever panic attack. I remember clearly, even right now. It was a terrible, terrible moment for me, and therefore it's a key moment of the story of my panic attacking. Since then I suffered from more panic attacks. I developed more trigger that caused panic attack. I had one central belief that my heart could stop at any moment, and this was the key center of all worry and panic attacking in my life. Shortly after, we are talking about the beginning of this millennium, about 2002, 2003, when all started. I developed more trigger, so I started suffering more and more panic attacks. I had it more often. Then and this is a terrible period in my life. Absolutely a terrible period in my life. Although I learned a lot about myself, and it really tossed me into the corner where I had two choices: the surrender or the suppressing. I was obviously at the beginning, I didn't tell to anyone. I didn't go asking for help, and I didn't get obviously any help, but I suffered a lot. I suffered a lot. Then after suffering for years, I started hoping that I may find some solution, and eventually I found it. I found a program online. I found a lot. None of them was helpful to me, but I found one, and that program was actually turned out that it was helpful, and for this reason I am more than happy to tell you that more than 1 year I produced no more panic attack. I tried everything, not everything, but I'm living my life the same way as I supposed to live my life, and no panic attack. No panic attack. I'm very happy to tell you that no panic attack. And you can be panic attack free too. If you have any question how I became panic attack free, just please feel free to ask the question below, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.